Happy Hour Yoga. I'm here with Josephine, my daughter, and 45-minute class. We're going to do some innovation in terms of vinyasa. A lot of the places I'm teaching now, it's not a soft surface, so I'm going to try to introduce a vinyasa you could do where you still stand on 2 feet, and then we'll throw in the more traditional vinyasa too. But feel free to experiment with this new standing vinyasa. We'll get going in about 4 minutes or so, so grab a water bottle, grab your mat, whatever else you need to feel comfortable to do a 45-minute yoga practice.
Do it. Are we starting seated or standing?
How do you want to start? Let's start seated and then we'll come to a stand.
Okay. On pillow?
Good.
No, I don't want to ask you.
Sure.
Okay.
Then help you sit up straighter and taller.
I feel already.
Posture. Yeah, grab my bells. All right. Welcome everyone to Happy Hour Pop-Up Yoga. We'll get going. Again, let me introduce Josephine. We're in Markel Palumbo's apartment, which is our downstairs neighbor. She's out this afternoon, but she's graciously offered us her space, which is awesome. Nice space to do yoga. So let me suggest we start seated today. And let's start in a cross-legged seated position. As we sit, grounded down through 2 sits bones, light and long through our spine. I'll allow you to bring your hands onto your knees, pulling back with your hands to sit up a little straighter, a little taller. Long through all sides of the neck with a slight tuck of the chin. So we start to take our attention inward. And we can start by watching our breath as it flows in and as it flows out. Arriving here on our yoga mats, ready for an afternoon yoga practice. Now from this place of just watching your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath as you find a long, slow inhalation, matched by a long, slow exhalation. As you breathe in, I'll invite you to find a full body breath, bringing the air to the base of the belly, the top of the chest, filling up each side waist, filling up both front and back planes of your body. As you breathe out, I'll invite you to either keep the belly soft and let the air whoosh out, or adding a slight constriction of the low belly in and out towards the heart to squeeze a little more air out, also providing some structural support for the low back. To this deeper, fuller breath, I'll invite you to move towards Ujjayi or ocean breath, a slight constriction of the base of the throat, adding a slight sound and feel to your breath, often compared to the sound of the ocean as the waves wash in and as the waves wash out. To this Ujjayi breath, I'll invite you to find Jiva Bandha, tip of the tongue to the hard palate just behind the teeth. Try to keep that connection throughout the practice. Hard to see, hard to demo, but that connection keeps our jaws relaxed and connects front and back planes of our body. And finally, with your lips closed, adding a slight smile to your face, a Mona Lisa smile, opening up the front of your throat so your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Keeping all this, opening the eyes if you've closed your eyes, and let's warm ourselves up with a seated twist to each side. So grounded down through left hand. Right hand catches the top of left thigh. Let an inhale grow your spine tall. And then on the exhale, finding a twist, staying grounded through two sits bones. Either looking forward off to the side or over that back shoulder with a steady yet relaxed gaze. Now letting your next inhale bring you through center. We'll ground down through right hand. Left hand catches the top of the right thigh. Take a breath to sit tall. And then finding your twist and making a choice, whether to look front off to the side or off past that back shoulder with that steady yet relaxed gaze. Now letting your next inhale bring you through center. Let's take a side bend to each side as we ground down through left hand, right hand high. I invite you to lean towards the left and lifting that right sit bone up just a little bit. And then pretending like you've caught onto a rope from the ceiling, keeping the hand where it is, as you slide that right sit bone back down. Getting a nice stretch in that low right side waist. And breathing into that stretch. Now letting your next inhale bring you through center. We'll ground down through right hand, left hand high. We can lean to the right. We can lift that left sit bone up. And then keeping the hand right where it is as we slide that sit bone back down. Getting an awesome stretch in that low left side waist. And breathing into that stretch. Now letting your next inhale bring you through center. Let's bring hands back to our knees. Staying grounded through two sits bones, hips relatively stable as we rotate our torso for 1, 2, and 3. Let's take those torso rotations the other way for 1, 2, and 3. And then back up. From this place, let's find our spider fingers. And we're going to spider our fingers forward as we take it into a forward fold. Now I want you to keep neutral spine as long as you can, back of the head in line with the sacrum, hinging at the hips. And then if it's right and good for your back, you're going to round the spine as you find just a little bit more space. So finding those spider fingers, hinging at the hips, spidering ourselves forward, hinging at the hips. And then either staying here in neutral spine or pasting the palms down as you round the spine for 2 or 3 long, slow breaths into your back. If you pasted the palms down, coming back to your spider fingers, and we'll spider ourselves back up to a long, tall spine. From here, let's switch the cross of the legs, rounding down through 2 hands as we bring the other leg in front, other leg back. Take a breath to set tall spine as we bring hands onto our knees, pull it back with the hands. And again, that slight tuck of the chin. Just bringing our focus inward, coming back to our breath. From here, let's find a twist to each side. We'll start on the right this time, grounding down through right hand. Left hand catches the top of the right thigh. Let it inhale, grow your spine tall. And then finding your twist. Finding a drishti or eye focus that works for your neck, that works for your back. And that doesn't have to be, you can change. So if looking forward feels good, I'm going to take it a little further off to the side. Maybe looking over the back shoulder. If that's not right and good, just back off. And then letting it inhale, bring you through center. We'll find that twist the other way. Left hand down, right hand finds the top of the left thigh. Inhaling, growing tall. On the exhale, finding your twist. Now letting your next inhale bring through center. It's like the side bend each way. Right hand down, left hand high. Leaning onto that right sits bone. Keep the left hand where it is as you slide that sits bone down. Taking a big breath into that low left sideways. Just enjoying that sensation. Watching it like you might watch a cloud in the sky. Now letting your inhale bring you through center. We'll ground down through left hand, right hand high, leaning to the left, lifting up that sits bone. Keeping the hand where it is as you slide it back down. And just breathing into whatever sensation you feel. Whether it's pleasurable, less than pleasurable. Maybe something that isn't even defined by the word pleasure. Now letting your inhale bring you through center. Let's bring hands back to our knees. And let's work those torso rotations for 1, 2, and 3. Let's take those torso rotations the other way for 1, 2, and 3. Now sitting up nice and tall, establishing neutral, a tall spine. We can find our spider fingers. We can spider ourselves forward as we hinge at the hips, leading with the heart. And then just making a choice, how does your back feel this afternoon? Either staying here in neutral spine or taking it further as we round the back and pace the palms down for 2 or 3 long, slow breaths into our back. My guess is you're also feeling lots of sensation in those hips. And again, just breathing into that sensation, watching it as you might watch clouds in the sky. From here, if you pace the palms down, spidering the fingers back as we reclaim long, tall spine. From here, let's go long through 2 legs. Just give our legs a little bit of a bounce. We see any constriction in the hips, our knees. Go side to side, whatever feels right and good. And then from here, let's come over to an all-fours position as we bring our feet off to one side. Josie, why don't you face this way? And let me go sideways. Make sure I'm still in the frame here. Nice. From here, I'll invite you to ground down solidly through each finger, lots of space between the fingers. A little emphasis between the thumb and the forefinger as we draw the energy up the inseams of the arms. Shoulders engaged. From here, starting the cat-dog stretch, breathing in, lifting chin and tail. Breathing out, tucking toes, tucking tail, tucking chin as we round it in. Couple more times. Breathing in, lifting it up. Exhaling, rounding it. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling, rounding in. Let's throw a child's pose into the mix. Breathing in, lifting up, finding the arc to the back. Big toes touch, sits bones back to the heels as we round the spine. 2 more times like this. Breathing in, finding the arc. On the exhale, taking sits bones back to heels as we find the arch. 1 more time. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, drawing it back. Let's add diagonals. Breathing in, coming up center, and then drawing sits bones back towards one heel as we round the spine. Breathing in, coming up center, and then finding that other heel. 2 more times each way, breathing in, and breathing out. Breathing in, and breathing out. 1 more time each side, breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, drawing it back. 1 more time, breathing in, coming up center, and then finding that second heel as we draw it back. Inhaling, coming up center, let's throw a figure 8 into our mix. Taking it back to that first heel. Keeping hips low as we find second heel. Up on the other diagonal, shifting shoulders and hips and back to first heel. 2 more times like this, breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, drawing it back. 1 more time, breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, drawing it back. Let's take it the other way. Up on the other diagonal. Shifting shoulders and hips and back to second heel. Inhaling up. Exhaling, drawing it back. 1 more time, breathing in.
And breathing out. And then back to an all fours position, feet hip width apart. Any amount here, just circling your hips for 1, 2, and 3. Let's take those hips the other way for 1, 2, and 3. One more thing in the all fours position. Let's trace a figure 8 with our hips as one hip chases the other. Like a dog chasing a car, heaven forbid the dog would ever catch the car. One more time this way. And then taking those figure 8s with the hips the other way. And then back to center. So let's get to a down dog shape with the cat-dog combo. Let's walk our hands just a little bit forward so the wrists are in front of the elbows, elbows in front of the shoulders. Let an inhale, lift chin and tail as we arc the back. And then tucking the toes, tucking the tail, lifting the knees, rounded spine. And then finding neutral spine as you push into the hands to stretch those heels down. As we hold this first down dog with this practice, I'll invite you to bend one leg deeply as we ground down to the opposite heel. And then finding that stretch on the second side. And then freely moving back and forth between the sides, just stretching it out. How does your body feel this afternoon? What feels right? What feels tight? What feels somewhere in between? And whatever you're feeling might not even be constrained by that word tight or right. From this place of movement, I'll invite you to move back towards stillness, long arms, long legs, long spine, deep full breath. Despite the lack of overt movement, just notice there's a lot going on, you're breathing, your heart's beating, your mind's moving. And I'll invite you to find a little more space between each breath, each beat of the heart, each thought, and then breathing into those spaces. From down dog, long smooth breath in. Long smooth breath out. On the tail end of your breath, I'll invite you to look between your hands as you mindfully make your way to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length. Think cat-dog combo here as we lift chin and tail, hands find shins, thighs, or knees. On the exhale, rounding the spine as we fold. On the inhale, neutral spine, back of the head in line with the sacrum, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, standing tall. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart. A light press of the thumb against the sternum as we line up each finger, letting our weight settle under our feet as we relax our shoulders. A slight tuck of the chin as we come back to our breath. And from here, hands by our side. So I notice a lot of times in the yoga practice with the vinyasa, people's wrists get tweaked. A lot of times we're typing or on our phones, and we're not used to bearing weight. Wrist is pretty thin for most of us. So let's try a vinyasa style that doesn't incorporate the push-up and the down dog. So I'll invite you to bring feet together, challenging your balance if that's too tippy, working wider feet. From here we can bring arms out to the side and then overhead, and then we're going to lead with our heart as we fold. Take a breath to find length as we lift chin and tail, cat-dog stretch. On the exhale, we're going to fold again. Here comes our standing vinyasa. Knees over toes, hands overhead as we inhale into a chair. In the chair, on your next exhale, sitting lower and holding. On your next exhale, sitting lower and holding. Let's do one more. On your next exhale, sitting lower and holding. Breathing in, breathing out. And then on your next inhale, rising on up as if we're bursting out of a pool of water, maybe a little back bend at the top. And on the exhale, neutral spine as we bring hands to hips. From here, let's step left foot back as we find warrior one prep. Let me go sideways on this one. Make sure I'm still in the frame. We've got left foot back, right foot front. I'll invite you to line up the heels. That's the traditional alignment in warrior one. And if that's too tippy again, feel free to go wider. From here, we want to take a length of stance that's appropriate so we feel some stretch in our legs. We want to be mindful to keep the knee over the heel, center of the knee, in line between that line, between the second and third toe. Our hips are going to want a square front in warrior one. So one hip's going to be a little high, one hip's going to be a little low. Try to find evenness along that plane. And also finding evenness along this plane as the back hip stretches front, front hip stretches back. It's not going to be perfect, but just feeling that energetic action as we move towards equanimity. From here, we can bring hands under our shoulders, just to remind those shoulders to stay heavy and relaxed. From here, we can find a clasp of the fingers behind the head as we press the head into the hands, open heart, open throat. And then from here, I'll invite you to stretch hands high to the sky. One of my favorite moves here. Breathing in, we're going to straighten our front leg without locking the knee, palms face back as we gather up the energy. Exhaling as we offer it out. Now let's do that 3 times. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Finding your warrior one with these cactus arms. These cactus arms, great place to hang out. As we bring the elbows back, the hands come with. I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers. Taking a big breath into your heart. From here, let's bring hands to heart, prayer position. We can open up our hips as we move towards warrior 2. And you might kick that back foot in just a little bit, the heel to arch alignment. And then finding one long arm, looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, I'll invite you to paint 3 rainbows. We can straighten the front leg, back hand finds back of back thigh, palm faces back on that front hand, inhaling, exhaling warrior 2. Do that a couple times. Breathing in, a couple more times. Exhaling. Breathing in. Breathing out, warrior 2. From here, let's find a triangle pose. Thumb and forefinger of the front hand find the crease of the hip. Thumb and forefinger of the back of the hand find the base of the ribs. As we deepen that crease, we lengthen those ribs. Keeping a little spring in the knee as we ground bottom hand down. I like to go shin. If that's too much, you could work the knee, but make sure the knee's pressing into the hand. You also might work the thigh. And that can change. From here, top hand can set top shoulder. We can stretch hand high to the sky, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky, with that steady yet relaxed gaze. Always finding that balance between your effort and your ease. Welcome, Nan.
Hi, Nan.
As we hold the triangle with every breath in, gathering energy in your center of balance, 3 fingers below the navel. Every time you breathe out, sending that energy out through 2 arms, 2 legs, both ends of the spine. As you breathe yourself bigger in space. Playing with that lateral top line if you choose. In your triangle pose, I'll invite you to exhale that top hand front as we turn our heart to the floor. On the inhale, lifting hand high as we spin heart to sky. And let's do that a couple more times. Exhaling. And inhaling. Exhaling. Now let's hold that hand front. The bottom hand joins. Let's take that little twist out of the torso. Pure side motion as we breathe 2 hands up. And exhale it over. So push-ups for our sideways. Breathing it up. Exhale it over. Breathing it up. Exhale it over and hold. And I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers as we keep our hands supple. And then from here, we have a choice, either back to the triangle and hold, or moving towards the triangle on one foot as hand finds the hip. We can shift weight onto the front foot as we step that back foot in. We can bring right hand well off to the right. You might add a second hand, not necessary, but if you're feeling a little shaky, go for it. Lifting back leg any amount. Second hand could stay right where it is. Maybe that second hand sets the shoulder. Maybe it stretches high to the sky, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up past those top fingers with that steady yet relaxed gaze. Again, with every breath in, gathering energy in your center of balance, 3 fingers below the navel. With every breath out, sending that energy out through the arms, the legs, both ends of the spine. Keep grounding down to that big toe side of the foot. I know it's tough on the carpet.
No, I was trying to do. I'm trying to move this hand in more. So
Oh, yeah, okay. Fair enough. So Josephine, I like the wide base. She's challenging that base by moving the hand in a little bit.
God, you ruined my concentration.
Sorry.
Ah!
You realize you're talent. You're not just a student.
I'm a model.
You're our yoga model.
Oh, jeez.
Coming down with grace and control, hand finds the hip. We bend the standing leg, back foot low. 2 feet find the floor from that foundation, finding your warrior 2. And then from here, let's bring hands to the hips. Let's spin the back heel up, shifting weight onto the front foot as we step back foot back. From here, I'll invite you to bring hands to heart, a light press of the thumb against the sternum, lining up the fingers. As we come back to our breath, long through all sides of our neck, with a slight tuck of the chin. And we'll move towards more towards soft eyes here, so just keeping your eyes soft. A diffuse focus. And then hands by our side. So let's play with that standing vinyasa again. So breathing in, arms out to the side. And then overhead. On the exhale, leading with the heart as we fold. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding again. Now on the inhale, knees over toes, finding our chair pose. On the exhale, taking it lower. Inhaling and holding. Exhale, take it lower. Inhale and hold. Exhale, take it lower. And then on your inhale, rising on up, a little back bend at the top. On the exhale, neutral spine. Hands by our side. Hands find the hips as we step our right foot back. And I'll go sideways for the sideways perspective. Finding your warrior 1 alignment with the feet. Again, you can always go wider, heel to heel alignment. We can use our hands on our hips just as feedback mechanisms. So one hip's going to be a little bit lower, one hip's going to be a little more forward. We're going to try to even our hips top bottom. We also want to even our hips left right. That's not going to be perfect. You want to feel that energetic action as we start to connect with some of the more subtle muscles that make up this wonderful, wonderful structure that connects the upper body and the lower body. From here, we can bring hands onto our shoulders, relaxing those shoulders. Finding a clasp of the fingers behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat. And then stretching those hands high to the sky. And then with the breath, breathing in as we gather up the energy. On the exhale, offering it out. A couple more times. Breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then finding this warrior 1 legs with cactus arms. One of my favorite shapes here. Just nice heart stretch. Kind of counteracts this action all day long. And feel free to come to it, whether you're on a yoga mat or not. From here, turning warrior 1 into warrior 2 as hands find the hips, or hands find the heart, and now we open up the hips. We kick the back foot in just a little bit. And then finding one long arm, and then looking out over those front fingers with that steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, painting rainbows, breathing in, and breathing out. Breathing in, and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out, warrior 2. And then moving towards the triangle pose. Thumb and forefinger find crease of hip. Thumb and forefinger find base of rib. Deepening that crease, lengthening those ribs. The I'm a little teacup transition. Keeping a little spring in the knee. Finding an appropriate place to ground on down. So if you can make the shin awesome, if you do use the knee, push the knee into the hand as much as the hand pushes into the knee. If you're feeling really, really tight, or if that's just your natural state, feel free to use them. From here, setting the shoulder, stretching hand high, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky. So everyone always assumes tightness is a bad thing, but tightness is what kind of keeps us together. Some yoga practitioners are super, super loose. They can get in a lot of different shapes. But in doing so, sometimes it's not the safest way to work these shapes. So tightness is good. You're blessed with tightness. In the triangle, breathing energy into our center of balance. Breathing out, sending that energy out into the universe. From here, exploring that lateral top line. As we exhale that hand front, turning our heart to the floor. Inhaling, lifting hand high as we spin heart to sky. A couple more times, exhaling. And inhaling. Exhaling, now holding. Bottom hand joins, we take that little twist out of the torso. We breathe 2 hands up. And exhale it over. 2 hands up. Exhale it over. 2 hands up. Exhale it over and hold as we reach, framing our ears with those arms, wiggling those fingers, keeping ourselves supple, keeping ourselves liquid. And then either back to Trikonasana, the triangle, or playing with your half moon. Take your time, set your base. I like left hand well off to the left. Once you have that down, you might play with working the hand in a little bit. But I like to be in a place where I'm not feeling too shaky, and I can really expand into the shape. But with any yoga shape, there's always choices to be made. Yeah, setting the shoulders, stretching hand high. You might, one afternoon, you want to work on challenging your balance, so you're going to work the narrower foundation. Another afternoon, maybe your body feels a need for more space, so you'll find a nice foundation. And breathe and stretch into that space. And one more breath here. And then breathing out, hand finds the hip. You can bend the standing leg, back foot low, 2 feet find the floor, finding your warrior 2 shape. And then hands find the hips as we spin that back heel up. We can shift weight onto the front foot as we step that foot front. And then hands find the heart as we come back to our breath. Either keeping a light press of the palms as your weight gathers in your feet, or adding an isometric engagement as you press those palms hard, elbows wide, shoulders engaged. I'll invite you to add a tuck of the tail as we connect with the strength of our center. And then hands by our side. So let's, Josephine did want to do a down dog, at least a couple push-ups. So we'll do that more traditional vinyasa for a twisted standing pose sequence. So let's start with our chair pose, knees over toes, hands overhead. From here, let's ground right hip as we reach for the center of the room. Let's find chair twist. We can start the twist with the wrist. We can slide to the elbow, either keeping hand on hip or finding prayer hands, either looking down off to the side or up past that top elbow with that mixture of effort and ease. As we hold the shape, I'll invite you to keep the knees relatively parallel. So one knee's going to want to shift forward a little bit. But by keeping the knees parallel, we stabilize the hips, and the twist comes more from the torso. From this twist to the right, let an inhale bring you through center, stay low. Now left hand grounds left hip as we reach. We can start the twist with the wrist. We can slide to the elbow, and either staying here, hand on hip, or finding those pair of hands. And as always, finding a place to look. Down is a very grounding way to look. Off to the side, a little less grounding, off to the horizon. And then least grounded, but maybe the most challenging, would be up past that top elbow. And wherever you choose to work, breathing, watching that breath, and enjoying your reflection upon that breath. From chair twist, with an inhale, bring us center. And just like before, like we're bursting out of a pool of water, straightening the legs, open heart, open throat, fourth and fifth chakra. And then a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, now grounding down through the hands and either finding your down dog, or you might cycle through a yoga push-up, chaturanga. You can jump it back for sure. Inhaling either into cobra or up dog. Cobra, the hips stay down. Up dog, we lift the hips as we pull up onto hands and feet. And then stretching it back. I don't know if you noticed, Josephine, when she did her drishti was up to the sky on that up dog. That feels really, really good. If you do that, though, make sure you're finding more length in the neck and not compressing the back of the neck.
Oh, no. Just kidding.
A safer way that you might teach a more beginning student than Josephine. She's been with me 24 years. As a yoga student, probably 7 or 8.
That is not true. You forced me to go to classes when I was 13.
Maybe 12, maybe 11 years.
Like
You would keep your gaze front and shoulder blades back and down. From our down dog shape, flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. From here, lifted leg straight, I'll invite you to stack the hips, right hip on top of left. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, sweeping that right foot on through. Hands find the hips as we find our warrior one. In warrior one, if appropriate for you, I'll invite you to go longer in the stance for more stretch in your legs. We can use those hands on our hips just to see if they're even, top, bottom, even, left, right. Hands find the shoulders to relax the shoulders. And then a clasp of the fingers behind the head, open heart, open throat, elbows wide, wide, wide. And now finding a tray in front. Breathing in as we gather the energy in. On the exhale as we offer it out. 2 more times. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale and hold. And allow you to wiggle those fingers, keeping your hands supple. From here, let's bring right hand to right hip. That's the front leg. We can find length on the far side, reaching up. And then reaching out. Reaching up. And then reaching out. 1 more time. Reaching up. And then reaching out, and I'll invite you to spin that back heel up for more space in the shape. We can start the twist with the wrist. We can slide to the elbow, either keeping hand on hip, or finding your prayer hands, either looking down, off to the side, or up past that top elbow, with that steady yet relaxed gaze. We're balancing, we're twisted, still finding that full body breath, without losing that sense of easefulness quality to the breath. So the Ujjayi breath, the ocean breath, can be very loud and rasping as we start to refine it and get more practice with it. There's still a sound and a feel, but it's much more subtle. Now let's come out of our twist easily as we frame front foot with both hands. Let's take a big step in with that back foot as we line up the heels. Big angle on that back foot. And before we settle into Parsvottanasana, take a breath to lift chin and tail, just like the cat dog stretch. And then rounding the spine as we heavy the forehead towards the shin. Shoulders move up and back towards the hips. As we hold Parsvottanasana, I'll invite you to invite more prana, more life force into your hips. As we move between Warrior 1 hips, the hips face front, and Warrior 2 hips, hips face off to the side. And just freely moving back and forth. Pretty much it's just changing the orientation of the hips, but if you did want to add a little swing, a little sway, again, just connecting with your water element. I believe we're 80% water. Check me on that or Google me on that, but you want to flow. And that's the beauty of the flow yoga practice. From our Parsvottanasana, I'll invite you to soften the front knee as we step that back foot back to find our low lunge. And from low lunge back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Again, yeah. So there's that upward gaze, shooting long through all sides of the neck, and then stretching it out back. You did? Yeah, yeah. Sometimes people get so intent, they just kind of crank the head back, it strains the neck. So you want to feel like there's another, maybe a tennis ball in the back of the neck, and you're running up and over that ball if you choose to look up. From our down dog shape, we'll move towards our second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Lifted leg straight as you stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that left hip. And then looking through between the hands, stepping that left foot through, landing it lightly as we bring hands to hips for Warrior 1 prep. Finding a length of stance that works for you. Taking a breath or so just to steer those hips front. One hip down, one hip up, just trying to find equanimity, evenness in the hips. From here, one more time this afternoon, relaxing those shoulders. Finding a clasp of the fingers behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat. And then finding that tray in front. Breathing in as we gather energy into our center of balance. On the exhale, we offer it out. Breathing in and breathing out. One more time here. Breathing in, breathing out, and finding your cactus arms and holding for a breath. The elbows move back, the hands come with. We can wiggle those fingers. We can flutter those hands, whatever feels right and good for your wrists, your fingers. Inviting more life force, more prana into those very essential peripheries, our hands. From here, hand finds the hip of the front leg, left side. We can find length on the right side, reaching up, and then reaching out. Reaching up, and then reaching out. Reaching up, and then reach. Moving towards crescent lunge twist as we spin the back heel up. We can start the twist with the wrist. This will be a little tippier with the lifted back heel, but you'll have more room to work. We slide to the wrist. We find our prayer hands. And breathing, watching that breath, and enjoying that reflection upon it. As you press those palms together, feel the shoulders moving back and down on the back heart. As we find more space, more freedom in front heart. And then very subtle here, keeping front heart open, might expand the shoulders away from the midline as you find space both in front and back heart. Super subtle, you might think about side heart.
Too many hearts.
There's too many hearts. Are those candy hearts at school? Those are gross. Yes. From here, let's come out of the twist easily as we frame front foot with both hands. Big step in, big angle on that back foot. Let's take a breath to set the spine, lifting chin and tail, cat dog stretch. And then rounding the spine as forehead moves towards that shin. Pushing into that foot as you draw that hip back. Initially holding the pose in stillness, just seeing what arises. And then I'll invite you to stir it up a little bit as we shift between warrior 1 hips face front, and warrior 2 hips face sidewall. And just back and forth with your hips, seeing how they feel. You might add a little swing, a little sway, whatever is right and good for you as we unwind various knots in our bodies. In Sanskrit, they call them granthas. I'm not sure if you pronounce the H or not. Granthas. It might correlate to the English word gnarl. There's gnarls in our bodies from sitting, standing, laying. Anything we do for a long period of time, those gnarls tend to sneak in. In our yoga practice, we untie those knots, we dissolve those gnarls. And then back to center. I'll invite you to soften that front knee as we take a big step back for the lunge. And from low lunge back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. And working with your breath, finding your flow. And following that breath, following that flow. From our down dog shape, I'll invite you to find a child's pose. As we land the knees softly, I'll suggest arms in extension. As we settle our belly between our thighs. As we hold this child's pose, I'll invite your belly to massage your thighs as you breathe in. And your thighs return the favor as you breathe out. Now, keeping hips and heels just as they are, I'll invite you to find a side bend as we walk our hands to one side, stretching far hip to far heel. Again, getting a nice stretch in that low side waist on the left side, or right side, depending on what side you chose to go to. Now, walking hands through center and finding that side bend the other way, stretching other hip to other heel. Now walking hands center, let's walk our hands in. And let's bring our feet off to one side. I think we have time for a little bit of core work here. So let's move towards our boat pose. So we're going to scooch our heels in. We're going to catch the back of our thighs. We're going to start to balance on our tailbone. And the tail's not tucked and it's not untucked. It's kind of in a neutral position here. This could be your boat. This could be your boat as we move towards parallel lower legs. We can let go of the thighs as we float. Maybe we go long through those legs. And we've got an open heart here. This is if you have a necklace on, you want to show off that necklace. From our boat pose, let's find a butterfly in the air, rocking onto our sits bones as hands catch the ankles, and we can sit tall. Either keeping hands on ankles or thumbs find the insoles of the feet. We can open up those feet as if we're opening up a book. And then we can start to hinge at the hips, neutral spine, either staying in neutral spine or letting the spine round. And just like with that neck thing I was talking about, you'll imagine there's a ball here. So rather than crunching into the arch, you want to lengthen up and over the ball. As we hold this shape, there's a mantra that goes with a couple of these forward folds. I like it. It's a nice mantra for these times when a lot of us aren't out and about as much as we had been. I go deep within to find all that I need. I go deep within to find all that I need. I go deep within to find all that I need. From here, I'll allow you to tuck the chin. Again, it's not a crunch. We're rounding up and over as we tuck the chin, finding more length in our neck. Keeping the chin tucked as we bring it on up. Lifting the chin tall to the crown, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips as we sit tall and breathe. From here, I'll invite you to use your hands to close your legs, keeping those thighs soft. And let's do a long, slow roll down onto our backs. We can tuck the tail, we can tuck the chin as we find C-spine and laying each vertebrae down as if we're laying pearls onto a cushion. When we get down, I'll invite you to find full body stretch, arms by the ears as we point fingers and toes. And then laying the head down as we sweep our hands by our sides. Scooting the head back as we flatten the shoulders. Tip of the tongue now neutral in the mouth. A slight part to the lips, but still breathing in and out through the nose. Doing whatever else feels right and good for you tonight. At home, feeling free to hold your Shavasana as long as you'd like. When I practice my own personal practice, I like to hold it for a good 10 minutes, which often turns into 15. At a certain point, you feel this immense sense of relaxation. Everything just kind of falls away. For the purposes of this online pop-up class, I'm going to cue Josephine out. But first, I'm going to ring my yoga bells 3 times. I'll invite you to listen to the striking of the bells, the duration, the diminution, and then the silence after. At home, feeling free to stay wherever you are. If it's Shavasana, awesome. Those of us in the room, I'll invite you to wiggle fingers and toes as we invite more prana into our bodies, more life force, more chi, more energy. Now drawing that energy in towards center as we circle our wrists and our ankles. I'll invite you to add a little shimmy of the shoulders, maybe a little shimmy of the hips. Intuitive movement as you lay on the floor, as we connect with our feeling body. How does it feel? And now drawing one knee at a time in towards your heart as your hands catch your shins. And then using your thighs to massage your belly as you gently lift and lower your low back and hips. It's called Apanasana, a great pose for digestion as we digest the fruits of our practice. Keeping the knees close in as we rock it from side to side, massaging our kidneys, again, water element, massaging our low back. And then rolling towards the right as we stretch long through an arm, letting that arm serve as a cushion for the head as we share a long, slow breath here on the floor. I'll invite you to let that breath sigh out through your mouth, softening your shoulders, relaxing your jaw, softening the corners of your eyes. Neck relaxed, face soft as we press up to a cross-legged sit. Feel free to grab your pillow if it's handy, otherwise don't worry about it. As we sit, hands on our knees, pulling back to sit up a little straighter, a little taller. A slight tuck of the chin as 5 fingers of the left hand find the floor. The palm of the right hand faces the sky. Ending our practice as we started, watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. From this place of breath awareness, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart. A light press of the thumb against the sternum as we line up each finger. And ending our practice as we started, just watching as our breath flows in and out. From here, I'll invite you to bow as you thank yourselves for practicing yoga, and as we offer our practice out to each other and to the world. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you at home for practicing with us. Thank you, Josephine,
Thanks, Dad.
of course. And we'll see you all next time. Thank you, Markel, for the use of her space. She's been very generous that way.
Goodbye, Facebook people.
Yeah, and always feel free to comment. And any particular themes you want to work on, I'm speaking to you, Aunt Nan. Feel free if you're still with us. And we'll see you all. Bye. Enjoy the night.